Welcome back to Superman 64. Now we're doing Lexcorp.
Already using the level select, I see.
No. Remember, when you save your game, Jova, you get a level slot every time you load your save file. You can go back to any previous levels if you want. So.
Also, this is Rich. We're going to Lexcorp. You know, Lex's headquarters to look for clues.
Yeah.
Even though, according to the game, Lex is still out in the real world.
Yeah.
Also, what was Brainiac doing at the Daily Planet?
I don't know too.
The Daily Planet is incredibly dark.
No, Tio. This isn't the Daily Planet. This is
Lexcorp.
This is Lexcorp.
My bad. Still, this building is did they film the Alien vs Predator Requiem inside this?
Don't you see it show how evil
the frame
it is?
rate. I feel myself aging just by looking at this.
Yes. Jova, that's the thing, Jova. This game does not actually have a level select sheet. It has a level skip sheet, but it doesn't actually have a level select sheet. That level select screen is just for when you load a save file, you can start from whatever level you've already completed in that save file, basically.
I see.
I guess it's the one you're referring is one that you need to activate after completing the first level, quote unquote, because you need to be at the loading screen. Because so I got this.
You know, honestly, of all the more famous reviews of this game that I've seen, not one of them, I don't think, has ever mentioned this game's pretty terrible frame rates.
Well,
I think the completionist did.
Not to mention that it's such a no-duh type of thing. I mean, everybody knows that this game performs like rat garbage.
Wow, they bothered to render the pool balls there.
That's the thing,
Lexcorp is a pool lounge room, I guess.
The game's frame rate is
give employees something good.
The game's frame rate tanks very easily, because the graphics processor is so crap. Trust me, that's that's the main reason why there's so much distance fog in this game. Because if it wasn't for that, the game would just make your N64 explode.
I still can't believe that they actually bothered to render the pool assets that you can't even use in game.
Here's what you do: there's a Watch Dark Lord Shadow 1's review. That's one of the first things he mentions actually when he's describing the flying.
Also, there's a piece of paper. Oh, there it is.
From Luthor to Parasite. Here's the code. Go on.
Guarded well.
Well, yeah.
Red, blue, green.
Oh wow, a puzzle where the game flat out tells me the answer. Normally I'd be mad at this. However,
the humans in the world, everyone.
However, this is not one of those cases where it's a blessing in disguise. Because trust me, you were going to wish that the game will always give you the answer to what you're supposed to do immediately. Because
especially when it gives you those stupid time limits.
Because most of the stuff you have to do in these levels make absolutely no sense and require you to go completely counterintuitive in your thinking. You have to basically ignore common sense to figure out what you're supposed to do in a lot of these levels. This one is not particularly too difficult. It's the one after this at the warehouse that becomes a big problem.
Done, Superman. See what's next.
Okay, so go ahead.
Getting lonely, Superman. Fear not, you won't be alone for long.
Okay, so there's kryptonite right next to you, and that meter tells you how close you are to it. Basically, the closer you get to the kryptonite, the more health you lose. You're supposed to activate the computers in the order that the paper told you so, and that will somehow turn off the kryptonite's radiation.
Oh no! Shooting the glass!
Not entirely certain how do you turn off the radiation of a kryptonite stone, but...
Well, okay, knowing Luthor, he probably found a way to deactivate the half-life of it, which would take away its radioactive properties.
Mm-hmm. Not to mention there's...
I understand Wolverine feels more of an ass pool than anything.
Not to mention there's most of the high-profile reviews of this game just give up halfway through the first level anyway, so it's not like there's much for them to say. Go on.
Like I said, Completionist, Dark Lord Shadow 1, I think they're the only big-name reviewers I can think of that made it all the way through the game.
Can I have a time, please?
I got 5 minutes.
Wait, I've got it. You see, guys, the reason everything moves so slow is because Superman is so fast that stuff around him seems slow.
It's not the Flash.
Well, you'd be surprised. Supes can actually go pretty fast if he wants to. There's a reason that we have him race Flash every other week.
Indeed. Alright, Tips, get ready, and... Hold on. click. Yeah, that's
Don't
not.
forget,
So,
faster than a speeding bullet.
yeah, basically. Oh, by the way, you have to press the R button for Superman to do a little hop so you can get through that bit. You can also fly, but when you try to fly in such a confined space like this, it becomes a problem. I actually forgot what was the button that presses it. Because if you think about the little mini jump thingy, there you go. Is that you very rarely do you need to use this little hop thing.
Choose an enemy.
Who's an enemy?
That's because that collectible allows you to control an enemy. However, I've already defeated all of them, so.
Now I will control Metropolis.
How nice. Alright, basically when you get that collectible, you can choose an enemy and it will allow you to get an enemy to start shooting other enemies instead of you. That being said, it's not particularly useful in my opinion. Just fly into the enemies and you'll kill them much faster.
I like how Luthor's just always watching, like he's obsessed with Superman or something.
Well, yeah, that kind of checks out actually, so.
Reminds me of those levels in Crash Bandicoot where Cortex is watching you.
Alright, now we found the computer room. There you go.
Hey, we actually found it.
Yes.
Okay, first thing, let's get rid of these enemies.
Oh, we just stand there waiting to be picked up.
Also, there's a screen that's just displaying never-ending static.
Such a productive
And I
day
know
at
the music is
Lexcorp.
completely dissonant, try to be almost whimsical. Oh,
Can't win, Man of Steel. I have my own Men of Steel, and their mission is to destroy you. Now get him.
And yeah, that's all Luthor does in this game, spat out generic villain lines.
again, as the prequel comic showcased, apparently he himself entering this, even though he had no reason to do it.
Yeah, I mean,
And
I'll
the
be
thing is,
honest.
going off of the game, we're probably to assume he was never
What?
in the world, but okay. If we assume that the comic and the game are both canon, then that would mean he went in there, but must have had a super secret way out.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Even if this game did have all the proper voice actors that this game does or does not have, I'm not sure. I don't think even Clancy Brown can make dialogue sound that.
Apparently, supposedly it does have the voice actors. It's just that I don't know,
All right.
something about this.
Now this is probably the best puzzle in the game, but
wow.
but first we have, well, keep in mind, best puzzle in Superman 64. So don't get too hyped up.
So here's the puzzle, the frame rate. Figure it out. Good luck.
Like performance aside, the worst that I can say actually about the puzzle is like very simplistic, but outright completely bad. It's more of a matter of how they gel with with how the game performs.
I feel like the problem.
Hold on,
with
because I have to
this game
explain this puzzle. Okay, so after you kill all those enemies, now you have this particular room of puzzles where you have to activate one of these computers. Okay, now you have 3 minutes to spell out the word Luthor. How do you do that? Simple. Every time you hit one of these panels, a certain group of letters changes. Basically, think of this like, for example, the puzzle you have to do in order to enter the final leg in Sonic's campaign in Adventure 1, where you have to figure out which button does what, so you can figure out a pattern where you can slowly but surely spell out Luthor. The puzzle itself is fine in its concept and design. The problem is that the game gives you a very tight timer to figure this out. Keep in mind, remember, think of it like if you're playing this for the first time and you don't have a guide to help you. Like, you have to both figure out how the puzzle. You have to figure out how the puzzle works, how every single individual panel works in specifically, and then solve the puzzle. And you only have 3 minutes to do so. Which, trust me, it doesn't sound like it sounds like a lot, but it isn't. Go on.
It actually ties into what I was going to say a bit ago here. I feel like the puzzles in this game aren't inherently bad, but
Sorry, go on.
they aren't inherently bad, but the problems are exacerbated by two issues. One being the frame rate that makes everything feel like an eternity, and then there's like those extra little details like either giving it a time limit or the view not being the best. Let me put it like this. These puzzles in an actual game that, functions properly would not be that bad, I feel.
There we go.
Elevator 4 activated.
Activated.
Alright, so now that you've saved that, now you go back to the lower floor so you can take the other elevator.
Also,
Also,
sorry, go on.
Basically, it's like Theo said, though. I mean, like, well, these puzzles are relatively basic. My feeling is like, well, if this were just in a better functioning game, at worst, we'd see them as easy, but I feel like they aren't inherently bad.
No, that puzzle is good. The problem is, starting after this, pretty much most of the puzzles will rely on pure trial and error and nonsensical thinking. So, if you don't get hyped, because that puzzle right there, that's where the good stuff ends.
In terms of this game's music, I think this is the best track in the game.
And it's
Although
one
again-
fitting.
Although again,
Also-
I can sort of get their logic. You're in the big lair of the biggest villain in the series, so
Yeah, it should be more ominous. Instead, yes, it's almost, whimsical.
Honestly, the music,
feel
most of
like
the music in
this
this
is
game
fine
sounds
enough
just
for this.
bland and generic to me. To be
Also,
honest with you.
the reason. Oh, here is Brainiac.
And guess what?
Yep, we
Theo?
made it to Luthor's
Doesn't
office.
even speak. Goody.
No, he does not speak. And and guess what? Alright, let's take down the villain Brainiac right now.
So, you know what this means, right?
And there you go. Basically, there you go. That's what happened. Basically, after you knock them a few times, Brainiac just goes away. There you go.
Okay then.
I remind you,
also-
he's supposed to be the main big bad of this whole venture, but oh!
And Luthor is inside there? What?
I guess so.
I guess that is a kryptonite shield or something.
No, it's too
No,
blue,
it's probably
unless
just a
it's
force
blue
field.
kryptonite.
If it was a kryptonite shield, it would have to be green.
All right, Lutherite. Then I don't know.
Anyway, the reason why the war from before, surprised me a bit.
That's not even a character model. It looks like that's like a still image, and they just twist around. That's what it
Mhm.
looks like.
Go on, Theo.
I forgot.
Anyway,
Let's see, but
the point is, turn back. Yeah, now found all the clues, and by that they mean read these 4 papers before you can complete the level. From
I
Dark
guess-
Side to Lex Luthor, I have the young Earthling, Jimmy Olsen. He will soon feel the force of my power. So Darkseid kidnapped Jimmy
what's he
Olsen.
going to do to Jimmy?
All right,
Also,
next
why
up.
is Darkseid?
The next is Parasite. Go ahead, that's you, Dibs.
As planned, I have Professor Hamilton prisoner at Star Labs. I'll drain him dry on your say-so.
Okay, so we have to save Professor Hamilton from Parasite. Next, go ahead, Theo.
The computer in my spacecraft had been programmed to keep all of us in this virtual world.
Was that?
So I guess Luthor actually
Why?
is
Thank
in
you,
this world?
Brainiac. We all already knew that. I don't see why you bothered to write a note telling me this.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, the bombs in the dam have been deactivated. Mala is not reported in. We must meet at your office to make new plans.
Yeah. So yeah,
Well,
Because we
Brainiac was
knocked
doing
her
it.
out.
yeah, we already defeated Mala, and Brainiac is mentioning that.
See, there's some good storytelling.
Final note from Metallo to Lex Luthor. Lois Lane is with me at Lexcorp's warehouse. Give the word, and she's toast.
So, again, does this imply that Luthor is inside that tube just watching
And after you read all the
us?
4 notes, this happens.
And he bangs
Okay.
into the wall.
It's like
Oh,
it's like when
to
you
be
complete
fair-
it's like
to
when
be
you use
fair, the
a
windows
Pizza
were
Planet
already-
token in a closed ambient in Toy Story 2, where Buzz Lightyear is supposed to actually skyrocket in the sky, instead he
No,
lands on
There's
the
no
ceiling.
time
That's what happened
Oh,
was basically
God.
it was meant to show Superman flying away back into virtual Metropolis, but he just banged into the wallpaper that was supposed to represent it.
Yeah,
Okay,
no, the
so-
thought occurs, if he could just
Let's try
fly out of that window, why didn't he just fly up and into Luthor's office?
I do not know, Jova.
Because Lex Luthor he tweaked the environment so that Superman cannot just do whatever he wants.
Maybe we're operating on Frank Miller's interpretation of Superman, where he's completely stupid and can't actually do anything intelligent-wise.
You would think that in order to propel that kind of narrative, Miller would made his own version of Lex Luthor to be even more competent and smart as, but no, he doesn't even go that extra mile because he's too busy believing Batman should be the absolute dictator of humanity.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. These ring bits where you have to practically fly horizontally, completely downwards. With these controls, no chance.
No, this
Also, Jove, help me out on this one because I might have forgot if it has happened. Has Lex Luthor ever tried to at least mind control, if not outright recruit, one version of Firestorm?
Not to my knowledge, no.
The reason
That's a
why
weird
I'm
one to
mentioning this
ask.
is because Firestorm has the ability to essentially create matter in a sort of alchemical way just by having the knowledge about the atomic composition of elements, and as such, a lot of stories involves Firestorms creating specific type of kryptonite that can be used, potentially against an aggressive Kryptonian.
Let me.
It's even a plot point in Injustice 2.
Keep in mind, everybody, that I made that level look easier than it was. Trust me, if you're playing that for the first time without previous knowledge of what you're actually supposed to do, it's not quite as simple as it may seem. Not to mention I'm playing with cheats, of course, because, that's the only way you can play this game without going insane. Because trust me, the game will not play fair. Trust me on that.
Considering all the DC-themed 444 breaking shows that have come out since this game came out, I'm honestly surprised I have not seen a skit where they make fun of Superman 64 and the rings and all that.
I get the idea they might just believe it's a dead horse even for their standards, which will say a lot.
So, in regards to your question about Firestorm, Tio, yeah, while there has not, to my knowledge, been a version of Firestorm that was recruited or brainwashed by Luthor, there was a version of Firestorm where the twist is it's a fusion of Superman and Luthor.
Sure, I can believe that.
Alright, moving on.
Also, I remember that this type of adventure before. One of the words that formed Jova, one that surprised me, Luto, it actually is a word that means something in my country. And no, it's not a non-safe for work apparently this time. Instead, it means grieving for someone lost.
Don't you see? It means that Luthor is grieving for the loss of his status in the city after Superman has come and shown people that there is a better way.
I'm
than
sure
the
he will
Luthor
fare
way.
much better being the president of the United States, which did happen.
The thing was, he was doing legit good until that meteor nonsense came. Then his ego had to get into the way of things, and he went insane and tried to kill
That's the more ironic
Superman.
part. In order to try to maintain public relationship right, Luthor was essentially forced to do good actions. So, if anything, the thing did improve his image in an all-around way for a while.
The trade-off was he was doing a lot of it to stick to Superman. Enough to make an entire mountain.
Teo, trust me, these ring stages only get longer as we progress. Trust me, get used to this.
You don't even get this many. You don't even get this many rings in like the biggest packet of crisps you can find.
Exactly.
I know, right? Like seriously, by the end, you'll want to eat the goddamn things.
I don't even like onion rings.
Oh no, Pedro! I was gonna say, Pedro, it's like you were on a get all the rings challenge, but you missed one.
Yeah, basically, I'm not trying to find out. Wait, where's
the? Around frantically to find out where he left off.
Okay.
Because the camera is not exactly your friend in this game.
No, it is not.
What is your friend in this game?
Nothing.
Superman.
No, Superman controls like utter ass. So no.
I was gonna say what without he controls.
Destroy the 5 enemies.
That's it. Destroy the 5 enemies.
Ow.
Wait.
Oh God.
Wait, when did the X-Men start? When did the X-Men show up?
Wrong universe, Clips.
It's got the X on the floor. It's like, did Professor X buy this building?
It's funny because there was kind of an equivalent to the X-Men for a while in the 90s. I think it was, no, not the Doom Patrol, I think, but it was basically led by Beast Boy's crazy uncle.
Actually, funnily enough, Doom Patrol I think is comparable to X-Men. They even got the leader in the wheelchair.
Yeah, they're the ones that I was thinking of. Alright.
Is that like a parody of the X-Men or something?
You'll be surprised with
where the hell are the other enemies?
They're around here somewhere.
I'm sure.
The problem is you can't see them because the game's draw distance is terrible.
I might have noticed something on one of the rooftops, but I'm
Me
not
too.
sure.
I
Also-
think you passed by one.
I did?
I'm very surprised, Waves. Ironically enough, before the halfway point of the 2000s, essentially before the MCU started, Marvel and DC, while they did took jabs at each other, but they were much more in a playful way rather than actually being relatively aggressive and not friendly these days. To the point where they even had the equivalent team in case they wanted to have crossovers in non-official format while having royalty-free copy characters. In the Marvel case, it's the Squadron Supreme. Yes, sir?
So apparently I found that there are robots flying around. Okay. Again, the reason I couldn't see them before is because the game's draw distance sucks ass. Like I can barely see anything in front of me.
Rolled
Sure.
over Metropolis. So.
Sure would be nice if they gave us something of a radar for missions.
They do, Jova. They do, Jova. When you're playing on easy and on normal, there's a compass tell you where you're supposed to go, but they take that away from you on hard mode.
You know, the mode that actually lets you finish the games.
Yes.
So, I mean, that's the thing. It might as well not be there, because if you play it on the mode where it is there, congrats, you lose.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, I do feel for the developers who are having to go through a pretty ridiculous demands on the part of Warner Brothers with the license. But at the same time, they're not exactly blameless in this with design like this.
No. You have to, like I said, you have to remember also that the Titus, whatever you want to pronounce it, as a company, did not produce quality products. They might have interesting.
Here we go again.
Shit! Here we go again.
There's no time to waste, Teo.
They might have had good ideas occasionally, but the executions always turned out to be faulty.
All right, everybody. In the next parts, we will finish the ring stage. See you then.
Hooray!
Really? We'll actually be done with them for the game.
No, this particular ring stage, you wish.
Okay. I was about to say, I recall there being much
I wish the whole game, honestly, considering, trust me, starting from this point on, the non-ring levels become so atrocious and painful that I wish the whole game was just the rings, to be honest with you.
Wow.
Seriously, people were asking themselves, "Oh my God, is this all the game is? Just flying for rings?" Trust me, you wish it was, because the alternative is even worse. So, see you then.
Yeah.
How bad can it be? We'll see.